Hey there, how you doing? It's Matthew Hunt here from Automation Wolf, and today I want to make a little video about questions you should ask yourself before you send any cold emails. So question number one, who is the intended audience, right? So just really think about who that is. Or even if you're marketing to a particular group, think about who are all the people in the chain of command that you might need to touch base with, and what is the right order to touch base with them, right? And I'll give you an example. So if you're reaching out to enterprise companies, reaching out to the CMO, okay, or the CEO is not really a good idea. You're just going to annoy them. They're going to be like, I have a team for this. Can you please go contact to them? Now, if you reached out to them and said, hey, I know you have a team for this, but I'm not sure who the best person is to speak to. Can you point them out to me or tell me who I should contact? That's different. You're not going to annoy them. If you're reaching out to them with your pitch, they're going to be like, hey, we've got a process here. Can you talk to the right people, right? In which case, it's probably where you're going to get kicked over to a bit of a senior role, and you're probably going to get kicked over to some sort of director, maybe the VP. A lot of times, not even, depending on the size. If it's truly a Fortune 500 company, you're not even going to talk to the VP. It'll be a director role, maybe even a marketing manager role. Sometimes the marketing manager is like, hey, we need this kind of company. Can you go and find the top 6 or 10, invite them to fill this out? We'll shortlist it to 3 through some sort of RFP. And then we'll, go through procurement, right? Now, honestly, you want to try to avoid RFPs and procurement as much as possible. And there's all kinds of really interesting things that you can do. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'll make another video in the future about how to sell to enterprise companies and make the selling process faster. Because I know the biggest complaint for people is they feel like they have no control with enterprise, okay? And they also feel like the buying cycle is really long. And it used to be like that for me too, but I learned how to shorten it. If that's something you're interested in when you're watching this video, if it's somewhere out there and that you can comment, let me know if that's a video that you want me to make, and maybe I'll make it a priority to make that one. How to sell enterprise companies and shorten the buying cycle and make it faster. I've got some real great tips on how to do that after doing that for years and years and years. Okay, so you want to think about the intended audience, and vice versa. If it's more of a small business, you want to go straight to the owner, right? Just go to the decision maker as soon as possible. A lot of times they're the major influencer and decision maker, so get right to them. So think about who the intended audience is. All right. Is that the best audience to be targeting to sell your services to? Okay, so again, I think this is kind of the same point that I was talking about in the chain of command, okay? Oh, and here's the chain of command. How do they buy? What's their typical buying process? Oh yeah, those are other good questions to ask for. Think about how they buy. Yeah, every organization buys a little bit differently. A lot of times, if it is enterprise, just ask them how do you buy? Each procurement department's a little bit different, and their levels of what you need to do. Some of them need to be a vendor and have a vendor number first in order to be approved. Others, you can get squeaked through with a very small project or lots of little projects. And again, at different companies, they might say, hey, I've got my wife I want to talk to, or I really want to talk to my main right-hand employee who really helps me out with these things, or I want to talk to the person who's going to be managing this my company, the marketing manager, and get their opinion. I don't really know how all this works, and they're going to be implementing it, so I'm going to include them in the process. Or, they may even have year-end stuff, when is their year-end and when do they make these decisions? A lot of companies are making decisions, if their year-end is January, they're doing that. Or you might want to think about seasonal businesses too. Sometimes reaching out to people at certain times is the worst thing you can do. During tax season, don't reach out to accountants, duh, right? Or if you're reaching out to restaurants, obviously don't do it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, particularly evenings. And if you're going to reach out to them, best time to catch them is usually their dark day, Mondays, and usually before lunch, rush hour, or in between lunch and dinner. Or if you're going to reach out to retail, obviously don't reach out to them around the holidays and Christmas. They're not going to talk to you, right? They're really busy fulfilling orders, getting all their marketing out and going crazy. So seasonal businesses matter. You got to remember when they buy, when they're open to these things. And think about your outreach. Is your timing right? Because a lot of times it's just timing. Same thing too, job changes. This is where LinkedIn's great. You can set up notifications when people change jobs. A lot of times when they change jobs, they're first going to go into the first two months or at least 30 days into just, learning and witnessing and listening mode. But after that, usually after a quarter, they're looking to create some sort of transformation. And when they come in, they're looking to make an impact. They've got something to prove. And this is where they're going to be really open to changing things, particularly if they're in a more senior role. They're going to change things. They're going to bring their previous team, other people they worked with. They're going to be reviewing old vendors. And this is a tip for you too. This is why you should always keep an eye on your own clients, is that the biggest way that people lose clients is when people change jobs. And so it's really important that you build relationships with their bosses and people below them, because sometimes they move up, or anytime someone changes, you got to start the sales process all over again, because they're going to want to bring their sales team. So you should have your account managers or account directors, or whoever it is that manages this, whoever is the client facing individual role, make sure that they are staying really aware of when people are changing their jobs. Okay, so think about all those things. Those are questions that you're going to want to ask before you start writing the emails or sending emails. You're also going to want to think about where else do they hang out and live. And this can be important because when you're sending cold email, you should also be layering it with inbound, but you always do outbound first, then inbound. The reason why you want to do that is because now you're actually going to pixel the right people, and your marketing messages are going to actually hit home for them, and you're being more strategic about it. The big mistake that a lot of people make, big B2B businesses make, is they do inbound first. And then they end up making a really dirty pixel or audience and build lists that people are never going to buy for them. But if you're more strategic about this, you pixel the right people, this stuff works amazing, right? So write that down. You also want to be really clear about their hot buttons, right? You want to really be really clear to be able to describe people's problems better than they can describe themselves, be able to describe their fears, their frustrations, their wants, their aspirations. And then you take that, their fears and frustrations on one side and their wants and aspirations on the other. Think of it as like an elastic band, and stretch it to create tension. Because when people have tension and they see the problem clearly and what the future looks like clearly, they take action, right? And just like an elastic band, when I have tension, if I let it go, it's a ping, goes flying through the air. That's what you want to do with your prospects. And you got to really get in there really deep, like doing this stuff and being able to do this in a very short email. It's not like you have long copy that you can sell this on or a video. You got to be able to, it's actually harder to be able to do this in a couple lines. You got to be able to create that tension, that curiosity, that interest, and you got to be able to nail it where you describe their problems better than they can describe it themselves so quick that they go, I got to reply. They feel compelled. You have that mind control to make them the reply, right? And then you also got to look at what their day looks like. When is the best time to send these emails? Like I can tell you right now, you're sending to C-suite individuals, the best time to send the emails is between 7 and 9 a.m. and after work 5 to 7 p.m. Because here's what their day looks like. At 9 a.m., they're in meetings all day till 5 p.m. And they're just not going to see your email. But you know, when they do all their email and their work and replying and stuff, they go to the office early. This is why they get paid the big bucks, okay? You get paid a couple $100,000 a year plus bonus, etc. You're going to show up and get it done. There's no excuses. Those people just get shit done. And so they get up at 6 in the morning. And I'm telling you right now, I know so many of them. They answer emails, do their work 7 to 9, in meetings from 9 to 5. They get out of meetings. They do the same thing from 5 to 7. Or if they've got kids, they go home, deal with the kid thing, and then they do it from like 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. and rinse and repeat. And they will do that Monday through Friday. And usually Sundays become a new work day for them as well too. So, you know, it's because there wasn't enough work already. It's crazy life. But you got to think about what is their life like, right? Think about what is their day like. Try to time the email at times that it makes sense. And as you know, as email comes in, the old email gets pushed down. And for whatever reason, I don't know why email clients do this, but humans always answer the ones that are at the top, even though that wasn't the first email. It's kind of weird that that's the way that the email is set up. So you got to remember, people get a lot of emails, and you got to remember the average email account actually has 21,000 unread emails in it. I know, it's crazy. So it just shows you that people don't open your email. And this is also why you need to send follow-ups, right? This is why you send follow-up emails, because you don't always get a reply by sending one email. It doesn't work. I'm not saying you spam people and annoy the shit out of them. There's a very tactful way of doing it, but you always send follow-up emails. So that is some of the things that you're going to want to think about before sending cold emails. If you enjoyed this, feel free to comment below and support it. Give me, or add something to it, add a like. If you want to learn more about how you can automate your B2B prospecting, hey, come on over, check out Automation Wolf. That's what I do. I help people automate that boring low-level process of prospecting. Nobody loves to do it, so they can focus more on the high-level sales activity